Thank you all the organizers for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure to visit our neighbors in Latvia, and also this time I had a very nice walk in the morning in a sunny Riga, and I'm happy that I can stay until the end of this program. I also see the new we'll see who is a winner of this year's competition, and then it will be a pleasure to meet more colleagues here. So I am representing one of the Eden destinations. We was the winner of the national contest in Estonia in 2009, and theme of that year, 2009, was tourism in the protected areas. So here you see a photo taken by Martin Blume. I didn't met him when he visited my place. This photo is done in some nice April morning, 2016, and Martins, as I learned later, is a quite famous photographer in Latvia. Who knows him, at least from media? Yeah, some of the hands. What do you say? Is it these 20 friends of Martins from Riga and maybe some other places of Latvia? Are they visiting Soomaa National Park as a nature tourist or a cultural tourist? Who says that they are the nature tourists? Raise your hand, please. And who says they are the cultural tourists? You can even use a Slido for these questions. But for me, it does not really make sense. I mean, this is nothing that I am very passionate to discuss about. It is maybe interesting at university with students as an exercise, but not so much in a real life. If you look more of the photos of this Latvian group in our national park, then you can see that also the images, some of them are more kind of nature related, but quite many of them also are about the way of life in Soomaa National Park in the time of great floods. So this is very special in our area, and of course it is a natural phenomenon, but people have lived with this natural phenomenon always. So they have adopted their lifestyles, and some houses, like on the right-hand side, it could be even water inside on the really heavy flooding times. It's called in our area fifth season. So Soomaa is quite known now, at least in Estonia, as an area that has 5 seasons. And time to time we see in the news that flood occurs. Yeah, in Great Britain, in England, in some other European countries, in Sweden it was a few years ago. So it's a catastrophe. For us there, it is not a catastrophe, but it is a season. So it's a cultural term, yeah. Yeah, you see also how we are located. So we are really getting a lot of visitors who combine Estonia and Latvia during their visits. About the 5th season, still a few slides. So it's not only during the spring, but it can also happen during other seasons. So the 5th season, it can overlap with all other normal 4 seasons. Just the last one, 3 weeks ago in October, it was the highest of 2017. And very seldom it is a time of the beautiful autumn colors. So this was very special for that. But 2016, because of a lot of rain, it happened in August. So we had a natural spa. It was really special to have a swim on the meadows and among some late August flowers. And if it happens in winter, which is more and more typical, is it a climate change or is it just been like this also before? But we don't have very stable winters, so if the flood comes in December or January, February, and quickly after that comes again frost, then all these meadows turn to the ice fields. Our almost as good neighbors as southern neighbors, we have in north the country that they call themselves Suomi. You know probably them as Finland, but they have their own name, Suomi, and Suomi translates as Puruzeme. So for us, it is a name of the national park. And it is also very attractive as a place where very few people live. So it's a kind of wilderness destination. And the wilderness usually, of course, for Western people, it is something that is a bit dangerous and untouched, pristine. But still, I would argue that there is no really wild places in Latvia or in Estonia or in whatever European countries, as even these untouched places without any people. Now, there never lived people on the bog, but they still, people who live around or in this area, they have a lot of relationship to these wild areas. And there are stories that connect us to these bogs. They are been used for winter roads crossing these bogs. Also, it is always been an area where to go for hiding, like during the wars. So it's a bit kind of place where to escape. And of course, more and more nowadays, when people look for recreation, they like peatlands as a place to relax. So here, tourism becomes kind of tool that we can use it to connect better again with the nature, or to get this, to feel that we are not actually separated from nature. There is no really separation between the nature and culture, but the culture has always been within the nature. And there is a kind of relationship that as businesses that we have to our place. Because the fact is that every place on the earth is unique, already just by geographical definition. Longitude and latitude is always different. So as a tourism business, or as a destination manager, you should not be worried about the competition too much, because if you find out what are these real unique values of your place, and you build the tourism offer on these values, and then you also support this sense of the place. So for peatlands, as it has been used for also for little navigation or traffic across the bog, as in previous times, if you used to live on the edge of the bog and maybe the second village across the bog where your girlfriend or a boyfriend lived, then you crossed it also by wearing something similar to the snowshoes. We call it bog shoes. And this activity, bog shoeing, it's now during 10 years becoming really very well known among the foreigners that come to Estonia. So this is an activity that usual foreign tourists never have tried. And many people, if they come to a next place, they would like to do something that they do first time in their life. Also, of course, in a cultural tourism, the events, festivals and this type of gatherings around the cultural topics are typical. And here, from the other edge of the park towards Viljandi town, the famous compositor famous in Estonia, Mart Saar has born, and he has got all the inspiration by swimming in this bog pool. So now there is held concerts, the shortest night of the summer, where then people can come and listen to classical music when same time the sun is rising. So the story of the flood, of course, is, as I already said, something that is very important for us, and also that because of this natural situation, our park is an area where has been kept in everyday use the traditional one log boat or a dugout canoe made of an aspen log. So you take one large aspen and you form it like a form of cigar, then you carve it out and then you expand. So from a half meter slope you get 1 meter wide boat. These are these old guys who has been carried this tradition into nowadays. Left corner is a teacher of 2 other guys on a colored photos, and these colored photos was teachers for me and another 10 to 20 young man who has been learning this building process from them during the last 20 years. So something that is, I think, important when designing our offers is that usually people mix, or they don't really see authenticity as something that we have today, but rather something that how it has been and how it is done before. But according to my experience, I'm sure many of you agree that visitors, they are not so much interested about this, how it has been, but more how we are today. So when guiding our guests, it's always something that interests them the most. How is the life, and what is they have different questions. Also about our close past, like how it has been during the Soviet time, and these other more living questions, not so much about the history. Something else that I noticed is in my business is that people have always different expectations and also different knowledge before they come. So it's very much depending what they're really looking for. So the tourists, they are participating. So what they really get, their experience, it is something where they also put something in. So it's always co-created together with the service providers, our guides, our partners who serve them food and accommodation, but also themselves. And something that is that is, of course, all this is changing, and as people are getting more experienced in travel, and they are also getting more aware of different environmental issues, they are also becoming more sensitive about their own impact on the place, both environmental impact, but also social, and they want to really to do something good when they come to us. And even that there is a trend for something that is called now transformational tourism or transformative tourism, where this aim to learn and change is a part of the tourism program. So here as an example, it's a recent book by Lonely Planet, where they gathered around the globe 110 special experiences that people can join and learn or do something that could make them change. So as our dugout canoe course is in this, already said before that this in a cultural tourism, it's all about people, and these are the local people who are our kind of backbone of what we do. Here on the photo you can see my colleague Al Girdas on the right hand side. He's also known as Mr. Flood by local people because he has been using now a scientific approach to understand how high the flood comes, when they come, and I mean, if it's already starting, when they come to certain road or to certain house and things like this. So he made a thesis work about flood tours. And one of our guides who is here with some berries, that leads me to one more aspect of our offer, and of course there is no cultural tourism without food. So it is sometimes for some people even like one of the main motivations to travel, but it's quite obvious that it is not always maybe the priority to come to our area, but everybody who comes to our park, and I'm sure it's very similar between our two countries, that everything that you can collect from nature, all the herbs, berries, mushrooms, and use it in your own cuisine for the dinner, breakfast, it is something that excites people. So experiencing the local culture through the local food is, I think, only becoming more important. And another thing that also Xavier mentioned is sharing the stories. Of course, we do our own marketing, and we use more and more internet tools, everything that happens online. But for myself, already some time, I see as a more important task listening what other people are saying about our destination. And just putting some effort to make it more heard. So as a tourist marketer, it's not so much about talk, but listen and select. It's called also curation. So curating what is told in online. And I think I come to the end of my presentation. So, of course, taste is important, but even more for a successful tourism experience is to think about, and of course to understand it, but also to try to, together with your customers, to make it for a real, that it's not only seeing and not only tasting, but also the other senses that we have as humans, and that makes our travel experience more memorable and more shareable, and something that we really want to advise also to our friends and audience. So, paldies. This could be a second word for Xavier to learn.
Paldies, Aivar. That was good insight how you combined wild nature, showing how it could be integrated with this cultural tourist concept, and that it's the same.
I believe we are not separated from nature.
Absolutely.
And I believe that this is even more true in Latvia and Estonia. Maybe not so much true anymore in Belgium or West.
So one question from that perspective, because the national park has two objectives, like to save and inspire the people with nature heritage, but also with cultural heritage and landscape in between. And then we have the situation, the same in Estonia and here, that mainly the managers are people with biology education, and it's under the nature administrative level. So how you balance that? Because that's totally fine. But how it's administrated?
We can discuss my own perspective is not very different from yours, because I have never worked a single day in the management of the national park. I run a private business. This is what I have now doing for 20 plus years. And we also have like a NGO, the membership organization of other businesses that has 20 members, 22. This general idea is that you gather all these different interests, like conservation, local municipalities, local businesses, maybe some outside NGOs, ornithologists, or what the area is. And then you talk, and then you agree on something, and you put it on a paper, and it becomes your kind of plan. And I mean, there is no magic.
There is no magic, but it's still the kind of challenge
it's not easy, yeah.
Here and there, because of course we speak about the common human heritage and the wild heritage at the same time, and this perspective from the traveler, they see the things together. Even they are more motivated either for cultural or gastronomic delights. So those main motivations, that's important. So let's have the discussion in the lunchtime or in the next coffee break. But thank you for your presenting. You have the same